Innovate 2016 is back on the road. We're at DLD NYC, which is why there's a lot of background noise. And speaking of background noise, one of the noisiest guys in New York, Douglas Rushkoff, very, very well-known, best-selling author, thinker on new media, got a new book out, Throwing Rocks at the Google Bus. Doug, welcome to Innovate 2016.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Doug, you throwing rocks at the Google Bus? I thought you were a tech guy.
Yeah, well, I'm not throwing rocks. I'm certainly writing about the phenomenon, though, and the way the people who were throwing rocks at the Google bus in Oakland in the end of 2013 really did kind of capture a certain quality, a certain sentiment that's more widespread even than San Francisco, which is the growing dissatisfaction with the poor distribution of proceeds from the digital economy. You know, we thought that Google and Facebook and all these companies were going to make life easier, but they seem to be really just contributing to the disparity of wealth rather than the equalization.
So is Google as evil as the old big media companies that we vilified 10, 15 years ago?
I don't even think it's a question of evil. I don't even know if those companies were evil. I mean, you know, there's dictators who are evil, but I think Google is just as vulnerable to its inability to see the underlying economic operating system on which it's operating. So just as Jack Welch at GE turned his brilliant company into a bank in the 1990s by selling off his productive industries like making appliances in order to have money to just lend money to people who wanted to buy appliances, Google now is addicted to growth. Google has become Alphabet, a holding company, and the way Google will make money in the future is not by innovating in technology, but by buying and selling technology companies.
So, Doug, the digital revolution was supposed to empower startups, empower the small guy, democracy, democratize, not democracy. And yet, all we have now, it seems, are these winner-take-all big companies like Google and Facebook. Mm-hmm. And in political terms, and I know you're a very keen analyst of contemporary politics, particularly the 2016 election, mm-hmm. rather than Occupy, we've got Donald Trump. What's going on?
Interesting. I know. You as an early internet supporter, I would have thought we were going to get things like Occupy, everybody holding their hands and realizing we're in a network distributed age and we've got to do incremental change and return to our local realities. But yeah, we end up getting Donald Trump, don't we?
So explain
it. It's very the same. It is really interesting.
Because you've written some really great stuff on this. I know it's some in the book and on your blog as well.
Well, you know, when I look at Donald Trump in terms of media environments, you know, I think, well, gosh, you know, Bernie Sanders is the ultimate radio candidate. He's emotional and he's hot and he rallies people against authority on a certain level. Hillary Clinton is the ultimate television candidate, completely cool, policy-driven. That's the sort of Kennedy-like politician. Donald Trump is the ultimate, almost what I would call digigenic candidate. You know, he is of the net. I'm not saying that he uses the net well, that his social media campaigning is smart. He's not using blue states or whatever the way that Obama did, but he is consonant with the digital media environment. His dialogue, the things he says are like what you hear from the trolls in the comment sections. His ideology is actually very digital. If you think of television, television was really the agenda of TV was one world. We had the Olympics that we watched all at the same time. It was satellites that really connected us into one reality. Whereas digital media has always been about discrete realities. You have your own little section, everyone has their own little reality tunnel. Everybody's Google search is individualized to just them. Digital makes differences. So the ultimate television president, Ronald Reagan, went to Europe and said, you know, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, because television tears down walls. What does Donald Trump, the ultimate digital candidate, say? Let's build walls. Let's build a wall to Mexico to divide things up.
Is Trump an innovator? Is he a disruptor?
Trump, I don't look at Trump as particularly conscious or as having agency himself. He's more of a phenomenon. I feel like he kind of stepped into a standing wave of culture and is riding that wave in the way that maybe Charlie Sheen did a few years ago. He is a disruptor. He's part of a disruptive force, you know, and that's in some sense, part of the disruption of internet gone wrong, as opposed to internet
So
gone
what are we
right.
going to see? It looks pretty likely that it's going to be a Hillary-Trump election.
Right.
What are we going to see when television crashes into digital in politics? What is going to be the outcome? Are they talking different languages? Are they in entirely different mediums?
They are, and they're in some sense they're in different media environments. They're living in different in different worlds. And which world will win? Well, I mean, the fact is there's a third world, which is the actual flesh and blood reality that we're living in. And at some point, I feel like voting and that sort of decision making, it comes down to, well, what's actually going to help me in my life. There's sort of the ideological part of voting kind of can fall into the background as we're thinking, how is my kid going to get to school? What's going to take care of my neighborhood? And people might want to vote more rationally. But as far as the idea, as far as entertainment, when we look at it, if you look at the elections the way people look at, you know, a zombie television show where you're just,
or a sports game.
Or a sports game, right? And you're just sort of scenario planning. What would I do? How would it go? You've got to understand, we all do, the frustration with business as usual, the frustration with the way the operating systems of our
So
society.
what's the answer, Doug? I'm guessing. Well,
I mean, who wins?
I'm pretty sure you don't like Trump, and I'm guessing you're not crazy about Hillary.
Right.
What would you like to see in this new digital environment? What works, or what could work for? And I call you a progressive. I know you probably consider that as a compliment, right?
Yeah, right. Is it not supposed to be now?
Well,
I think
I'm saying
progressive
I
is a
don't
good
want to
thing.
give labels, but you're on the left of the spectrum. Politically.
Yeah. Although you know, it's hard to be on the left because the leftists attack you when you're on the left. But yeah, I would call myself left. You know, I would be a Bernie Sanders supporter. You know,
but is Bernie the answer, or is there some?
No.
Is there a post-Bernie solution, a post-Trump, a post-Hillary solution? Maybe not for 2016, but for 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is that people like Bernie and even Trump, they look at the problem as a corruption, as if there's bad actors in an
Blaming
otherwise
the banks or Google or someone else.
Where I don't blame these individual actors. I don't think that we're looking at a system that's been corrupted by bad actors. I think we're looking at a system that is behaving and operating exactly as it was programmed to. It's just not doing something that serves us. And then what we need are people, not techno-solutionists, but people who are willing to go in and say, no, you know, these systems themselves need to be reconfigured and they are not sacred. They are up for discussion. Something as simple as reversing capital gains tax with dividends tax so that you're taxed higher on passive gains and lower on money you've earned would completely reverse the problem that Google and Twitter and all these companies, I mean, that would save Twitter, right? Twitter's problem now is they earn money, you know, and they only earn $2 billion a year. People can't figure out how for them to earn more, and so they're going to be pushed under.
So wearing your new media guru cap as opposed to maybe say politically progressive cap, I don't know whether they exist in parallel, whether they're the same thing. What's going to be the outcome in 2016? Who's going to win? I don't mean Trump versus Hillary. What worldview is going to win?
It largely depends on what happens over these next few months. You know,
that's not an answer, Doug.
No, it is. It is in some ways. So, in other words,
we'll predict what's going to happen in the next few months.
I believe that what's going to happen is once Hillary has the nomination, as we move into September and October, Trump or his people or other Republicans will start posting on Instagram the pictures of Bill Clinton with his girlfriend up in Chappaqua that all of us in Westchester know about. But
I didn't know about that.
Right, you didn't. But if I do,
current girlfriend.
Yeah, but if I know about it, then everybody, if people in the town know about it, then everybody and
How old is she?
She's like in her 40s or 50s. She's a totally respectable relationship.
Why are they still married then?
Exactly. Why are they still married then? So if those questions aren't dealt with properly, I feel like Hillary could lose support from middle America, just going, what the heck is going on here? We don't understand. So I think there's a lot of bumps in the road that could cost Hillary, you know, the whole darn thing.
Well, there you have it, TechCrunch. We don't usually break news on my show anyway, but Bill Clinton has a girlfriend up in Westchester.
Google.
Just Google it. I don't know what Google is.
It's not me.
Google it, but Doug says that Bill Clinton's girlfriend might result in a President Trump, which is kind of scary, Doug. But thank you so much for scaring everyone and appearing, as always, in your brilliant new media guru persona.
I don't know how guru-y that was, but that's
very guru.
It's just typical.
Thank you. Good
Thanks.
job.